Yeah, that worked.
All right, we are now we're now live.
Cool.
Go ahead and test the chat box here.
Why is it focused on me? I thought it was like audio command. just popped onto me suddenly. It's a little creepy.
Yep. I've got to pick somebody, and it won't be my blank screen.
Faisal, if you say something, does it snap to you, or is it just Will?
No, it won't.
It's just Will.
It's just Will. Everybody is so lucky.
I know, that's why.
All right, you guys both now have controls shared with you. And by the way, actually, guys, do a test for me. Like, for example, Faisal, if you go down to the bottom of the screen where the video feeds are of you and Will, and you click the down arrow that when you hover over yourself, can you choose present to everyone there?
Yep. You want me to do it?
Click that, and let's see if it forces the webcast over to your feed. Yes.
Yep, got you.
All right, we'll just do that as a quick practice.
What do I wasn't paying attention. What should I do?
Down in the feeds, the video feeds in the bottom right corner.
Click on mine.
Faisal, yourself, and me.
Is it me now? Did I just take it over?
No, hover over.
No, present to everyone.
Hover over the down arrow, and then click present to everyone from the list that pops up.
Got it.
So you guys can take over.
Is it
You don't have to ask me to come back to you. In other words, you can just.
Got it.
Do it yourself.
So what do I need to do to get my screen up? My PowerPoint.
When you hover over the left-hand side of the room, that window kind of pops.
Oh yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry. Screen share. Right.
Screen, and then you can choose the present to everybody option.
Can I go ahead and do that right now?
Sure. We do not have any participants in the.
I just mailed, so.
Yeah, although there are people attending already. We have a dozen.
All right. Can I go ahead and put my screen on? Sure. My PowerPoint?
Yep.
Can I see it?
Well, you now need to choose present to everybody as
I think I just did. Okay, present to everybody. Okay.
And then we just snap it back to your screen.
Is that it?
Yep.
All righty.
I'm always trying to streamline things.
So Adam, you're saying people are participating, but they're not in chat yet, or how does that work?
Well, I see, about 20 attendees at the moment. I don't see any chat in the chat box yet.
Obviously people can hear us. Just go ahead and try and post something in chat, folks, just so we can get you.
Chat is enabled.
Would there hypothetically be an issue if I mailed a specific link?
No. I will double check the. Interesting. Usually people are chatting by now, which is.
Oh, here's Howard. What's up, man? We're also on a slight delay, so that might have just come through for folks. Yeah, Barbara's here, Lou. All right, cool.
Howard came to the rescue of my nerves there. Thank you, Howard.
Richard's here too. All right, we got everybody. How's everybody's holidays going so far? Any plans for Christmas, Hanukkah, New Year's, etc.? Jim, I can see you.
All of my shopping is out of the way, and the attendees here and Faisal will be pleased to know that I did not get Will a Christmas present. The last time I got Will a Christmas present, he actually never even opened it.
Is that
Well, I
true?
said,
What was it? Was it the Super Bowl stuff?
I got him every single Super Bowl in like high definition DVD, and he never even opened it. This was
True.
before. This was years ago, by the way. Before
Hang on one second. I'll be right back.
video and like Netflix or wherever else or YouTube, where you might be able to actually watch Super Bowls not on a DVD.
Dude, look at this. Can you see this?
yep.
It's literally every single Super Bowl on DVD.
Well, now it's out of date. I don't know what the most recent one is.
Right, exactly. As long as it includes the most recent, Redskins win in '91, I think we're good. Nothing after that really counts, right?
I was like 10 when that happened.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Tennis buddy's 97th birthday on Christmas Day is what Barbara's up to. That's awesome. That'll be fun. Excuse me. If it's any consolation, Adam, I didn't get you anything either. But that's only, I actually haven't gotten anybody anything yet. All of my Christmas shopping will be tomorrow. In true Will Hamilton form.
Adam, how many do we have so far online?
Looks like we're at about 30 people at the moment.
Okay.
An infinity window, huh? Howard, is that because of the all the boxes in the background? And Jim says, by the way, last presentation was super, particularly watching the video again the day after. Jim, that's awesome.
Thanks, Jim.
This looks like it's 1 minute till, so we'll give it another minute or so for people to jump on, and then get going.
Just as a reminder, Will, the recording is automatic, so I'm just going to go ahead and hide myself from the broadcast now and let you guys.
Okay. Cool.
And just so you remember, you can force the presentation back to yourself or to someone else just by using that arrow, that drop.
And if I hit hide from broadcast, what does that mean?
That will completely remove you from the feed.
Can I still speak?
No, you wouldn't be able to speak publicly until you unhid yourself from the broadcast.
Okay.
Turn off your webcam by checking, clicking the webcam.
Yeah, I mean, I just did that now.
Right. And if you mute yourself, then that's the same thing. You don't actually have to hide yourself from the broadcast ever.
If I mute, you can't see me anymore?
Correct.
Interesting. It looks like Feisal might have control because they said they see his browser window. So
You can take it back by hovering over your own.
yeah, if I do that. What up? Yep, now it's me. All right, we'll give it one more minute, and then we will get it
Richard
going.
is asking a question. Might be a little bit of confusion there. He's asking, where do I find the last session's video? There has not yet been a previous session. This is the first of the interactive trainings with Feisal, of which there will be 3. Correct, Will?
Yes.
So what you saw previously was free training that was done, and now this is the first, Richard, of the subscription.
But the link to the old one, I messed up and accidentally took it down, but it should be back up now, correct, Adam?
They are back up, yes.
Okay, yeah. So Richard, if you dig through your email from us, you should be able to get a hold of it. And if you don't, shoot me an email. I can probably send out an email just as a reminder. Excuse me. But it's 7:01. I think, Feisal, you good to go, man?
Yes, sir.
All right, cool. Well, I will. Let me do a quick little intro, and then I'll kick it over to you. So, Adam, we all set on the tech end?
We are. Yep.
Cool. All right. Well, welcome everybody to the Rule the Net training program with Feisal Hassan. Really excited to have Feisal share this material with you, and really excited to have you as well. I just think you're going to get a ton out of what Feisal has to share over the next couple weeks. So I'm going to kick it to him in 35 seconds. One tiny piece of housekeeping. I know some of y'all have been sending me emails. I'm a little bit behind on email. I have come down with a cold, which I'm now getting over, but if you hear an occasional cough, that will be me. But I have your email. I will respond to it shortly. So appreciate you accommodating me there. But yeah, with that in mind, Feisal, why don't you use the controls or whatever to take over the screen, and let's get going.
Okay.
And Richard, yes, this will be recorded for later viewing if you need to leave. So what's going to happen is we're going to go live, and then it's automatically recorded. We will post it. Tomorrow, and send out an email with the link.
All right. Everybody see the screen? Everybody get this? Everybody got that? Is it up?
Yeah. Let's give it 1 second. There's a little bit of delay on chat, so everybody just confirm in the screen. You can see the art of poaching in doubles, and once we have the sort of yes, that's I can see it, then we'll be good to go. And the good thing, Feisal, with the power of editing tomorrow, we can just chop this part out.
Okay. We're ready?
Adam says there could be up to a 20-second delay, so
Okay.
We're just going to make sure that everybody can see. We just want to confirm that. All right, it looks like everybody's coming through. Yes, Feisal, we can see you. Take it away, folks. If you have questions, we're going to periodically stop, like we did last time. But I'll be monitoring that, and we'll take breaks to answer a question here or there, and then have some time at the end for Q&A as well. So, with that in mind, Feisal, it's all you, man.
Thank you. Rule the net, the art of poaching in doubles. I think one of the most enjoyable ways of ruling the net is poaching. So let's talk about poaching today. All right. Outline-wise today, I'm going to explain the goals of the webinar. What is poaching? Why poach? The mentality you want to have when you're poaching. When to poach. How to poach. Where to poach. Excuse me. Where to hit the poach to. When or the timing to poach. Faking, and the 4 poaching situations. That's what we're going to cover today. Right. Goals of the webinar. What I'd like all of us to accomplish today is, number 1, to make sure the players know the answers to the what, why, and when to poaching, and the various poaching situations and how to do it. So we're going to go into that today, and I'm excited about that. All right, what is poaching? A poach is crossing from your side of the net to your partner's side in order to pick off or steal your partner's shot. So if you notice the Bryan brothers here, poaching over here, poaching over here. Now, one of the key things that throws people off is reachable versus poachable. If a ball is reachable, within reach, it is not necessarily poachable. So right there, for example, you see it was kind of reachable, but not poachable. So you poach for one of 2 reasons. A, to put the ball away, or B, to prevent a defensive situation. If you feel that if you take this ball, if you steal your partner's shot, and by you taking it, it's going to avoid your partner being in a defensive situation, that's definitely a poachable shot where you're trying to prevent a crisis. So you poach for one of 2 reasons. A, to put the ball away in an attacking mode, or B, to prevent a deeper crisis. So if it's reachable, it doesn't mean it's poachable. What you got to be able to sense is, yes, this is reachable. Can I put the ball away? Or am I preventing a deeper defensive situation? So that's what I mean by reachable versus poachable. A lot of times players think they can reach the ball, so they definitely need to poach it. And by them doing it, it actually messes up their team and puts their team in disarray. So that's what I mean by the reachable versus poachable. Anyone have any questions on that before we move on?
I think we're all good, man. That's pretty clear. So why don't we keep rolling, and we can get to questions in maybe like 10 minutes or so.
Okay, sounds good. Why poach? Poaching is an effective strategy in doubles and great fun when executed properly. I stress when executed properly. If not executed properly, it puts the team in disarray and causes confusion and lack of confidence. So an effective strategy if you know when and how to execute it. It allows the team to rule the net and win points with easy volleys in a quick, intimidating manner. That's the advantage of poaching. What poaching does to an opponent's minds is the bonus. It plants a seed of doubt, uncertainty, anxiety, and or panic. A lot of times if you've poached a couple times, the receiver's actually kind of keeping you in their periphery, and therefore you can kind of cause some doubt and uncertainty in their return of serve. So those are the reasons for poaching. Poaching stats. Here's some stats I found interesting. When you get your first serve in, your partner has a chance to poach about 70% of the time. On the second serve, you put your team on the defense, and the chance for your partner to poach drops to 30%. Long story short, get your first serve in. That's the key thing. That's the reason I wanted to put that stat in. However, poaching can backfire on a team if they are not properly trained to the art of poaching. And that's our goal today, is to properly train you to the art of poaching. Mentality of poaching. A key ingredient for a team is to be mentally have the attitude of being aggressive territorially. So you want to be aggressive. How do you achieve this? Easier said than done. How do you achieve this? The tip I like to use is meet the collision. This attitude can help a player to go after the ball, moving forward instead of waiting for the collision. So by meeting the collision, you're thinking of moving forward and being aggressive. And what I've noticed in the training of this attitude or mentality is that it helps the player think of their footwork, body work, and racket work of the poached volley without getting too bogged down in technique. So in today's webinar, I will be explaining the footwork, the body, and the racket work when you're actually poaching. So the main mentality is meet the collision. When to poach. The times to poach. A lot of times we choose the wrong time. We then surprise ourselves. So number 1, poach for surprise. Try a poach even though an opponent isn't terribly stressed to catch them by surprise. So number 1, poach for surprise. Number 2, poach a favorite shot. If you notice an opponent hits the same predictable shot over and over again, move a little and pick it off. That's second opportunity. Third opportunity, on a green light point. The way I like to view points is put a pressure spectrum on it. A red light point is if you're down by 2 points or more. A yellow light point is if the score is even or there's a 1 point difference. A green light point is when you're up by 2 points or more. So for example, we are down love 30. That's a red light point. We are up 30 love, green light point. 40-15, we're up by 2, green light point. So anytime you're up, based on the score, on a green light point, that's a good time to go for a poach. Why? You're up. So what if you miss the poach? At least you're still up. So let's say we're up 40-15. We make a poach, unsuccessful. We're still up 40-30. So that's what I mean by a green light point. The first point after a changeover. A lot of times when after a changeover, the 90-second changeover, a lot of times the returner is a little sluggish and just kind of getting out of the changeover routine. That's a good time to throw in a poach. So the first point after a changeover. So those are the times to poach. Poach for surprise, poach on a favorite shot, poach on a green light point, and the first point after a changeover. How to poach. Let's talk about the mechanics. I'm going to break down the mechanics, like I said earlier, into footwork, body work, and racket work. And I'd like to explain each one in depth. Footwork, basic footwork. I'm going to break down footwork as basic footwork and a little bit more advanced footwork. Key thing is you want to bisect the angle. I'll explain that. So the basic footwork is you want to move diagonally toward the net strap, leading with the inside foot. So if I'm on the do side, what I mean by the inside foot is it's going to be my right foot. So I'm leading toward the net strap with my inside foot. That's the first basic footwork pattern. Second one is you want to shuffle toward the net strap. A lot of times people sprint and they either overrun the ball. So move toward diagonally toward the net strap with your inside foot and shuffle toward the net strap. I advocate using the crossover step to reach the ball if you have to. So side shuffle diagonally with your inside foot toward the net strap and use the crossover step if you need to reach the ball. So that's the basic footwork pattern. Now let's get into a little bit more advanced footwork patterns. What I've done right here is you've got the 4 players, the server, server's partner, receiver, receiver's partner. As far as advanced footwork, let's break down the server's partner's perception as far as court sense. You're going to break the receiver's court into thirds. Let's call this the outside third, the middle third, and the inside third. So just an FYI, from the service tee to the alley is 18 feet. The alley is 4.5. This is 3.5. So you're looking at 3 areas about 6 feet in dimension here. So 6 feet, 6 feet, 6 feet. So you've got the outside third, the middle third, and the inside third. So what we mean by now is if your partner serves and the receiver is hitting the ball on the outside third, what movement does the server's partner have to do? With the same token, if the server serves into the middle third and the receiver's in the middle third hitting the ball, there's a certain movement pattern for the server's partner. Likewise, my partner, the server, serves and the receiver's in the inside third. What's the movement pattern for that? So one thing for advanced footwork is break the returner's side into thirds. And a good drill to practice getting the feel of the thirds is you could be here, your partner could serve, and you want to sense where the receiver's going to be and get the feel of is it the outside third, the middle third, or the inside third. So for advanced footwork, first things first, break the court down into thirds, as we demonstrated here. What I'm going to do now is demonstrate how you actually move for that. Right. Tennis is played in a rectangle, but you recover in a triangle. So on the previous slide, here's the tennis court. It's a rectangle, but your recovery is actually in a triangle. I'm going to explain each one. So for example, my partner S has served wide, and the opponent is, the receiver, is on the outside third. If you look at the triangle, this is the area of possible return. So the returner could hit down the line or could hit cross court. So this is the area of possible return for the receiver. Well, if that's the case, the service partner needs to be in the middle of the triangle, which I'll explain later. So that's for this, that's the triangle if the serve goes wide. If the serve goes down the middle and the receiver is in the middle third, this is the possible triangle, the area of possible return by the receiver. We'll talk about how the service partner moves. Third one, if the service partner gets the receiver in the inside third, this is the possible return in terms of angles for the returner. So if you notice right now, especially in court number 3, the server goes down the middle to the tee. The service partner is not really in the middle of the triangle, so we're going to explain that. So this slide right here demonstrates the angle of possible return by the receiver, whether they position on the outside third, the middle third, and the inside third. Now I'd like to demonstrate the footwork involved to cover these respective areas. All right. Cover a V with a W. What I mean by the V is this right here. This is the V. Okay. This is the V here. And the service partner is going to have a W. This is the W. I came up with the W. So if you were standing here, hopefully this will look like a W. Right. Think of a W prong. This is the outside prong, this is the middle prong, and this is the inside prong. So if the serve goes wide and you got the receiver here, the service partner is going to move at a diagonal toward this prong, and I will be demonstrating that earlier. If it goes to the middle third, you'll be moving in with the inside prong. If it goes down the tee, you're going to be going on the inside prong right there. So once again, outside third, use the outside prong. Use the outside leg. So this person will be using their left leg to go wide. One diagonal step to cover the angle of possible return. In the middle third, the middle prong, you'll be using the outside leg again, i.e. your left leg. If it's in the middle third, in the inside third, you're going to go with your inside foot or your right foot. So that's the movement that we could do. This is the W move. What the pros do now is they do a couple moves right here. They actually start off further back. They do a hop, which is a split step, and then they do a prong move based on where the server goes. Or one step further, the pros even do a step, a hop, and then a W prong move, depending on where the partner's serve goes. These two, what the pros do, helps achieve forward momentum. So option 1 you could do is just do a basic W prong in one stationary position, or you could do what the pros do a split step, a hop, and then do the respective W prong, or you could do a step hop and then the W prong. So that's the overall picture. Cover the V with a W. This is the W right here. The V, like we said earlier, was the angle of possible return. Now
Feisal, let me, excuse me for jumping in real quick. I just wanted to, a number of people on the line are subscribed to some of our Bryan Brothers stuff, and I just want to relate what you just described to what Bob and Mike do. So where you were talking about the pros taking a step forward, hitting a split step, and then breaking in one direction. That's exactly what Bob and Mike do, and that's what they've taught.
Good, 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 good. Thank you. All right, now let's get specific. All right, like I said earlier, so what I'm trying to do with my slide presentations today is actually give you the illustration, well, to show you the verbiage, and then give you a quote to actually illustrate that. So you're seeing it, you're going to get the feel. So, partner S, court number 1, serves wide. The receiver is drawn wide right here. This is the angle of possible return. So the service partner is going to use the outside leg, go with the outside prong, and is going to do a diagonal step here. The reason for this is if you notice, if I drew a straight line, they're actually smack in the middle of the angle of possible return, smack in the triangle. So that's if it's wide. That's that one move. That's the one prong for from the W. Second one, serve goes smack into the body. or into the middle lane right here. Based on that, this is the angle of possible return. The move for the service partner is the outside leg going with the middle prong to cover the angle of possible return. If you notice this triangle, you smack in the middle. Okay. Third one, court 3, serve down the tee. Receiver is hitting in the inside third. If you look at the triangle, this is the middle of the triangle, right there. Service partner is going to move with the inside leg, which is the right leg, diagonally forward. So that's your W right there. The outside prong, the middle prong, and the inside prong. So there's that V. Cover the V with a W. So this is the prong, that's the prong, that's the prong, covering the V. So that's the advanced footwork mechanics right there in terms of how to move. Right. Body work. So once you get your feet right, you want to move. And so how does the body move? The body faces or is angled toward where the ball is. This helps with changing the directions on the poach. So if the serve goes wide, right here, I'm going to have my 10 toes or my shoulders facing this area right here. A lot of times people have the shoulders facing straight forward. Well, if the serve goes wide, have your 10 toes facing this way. So not only is your foot going this way, but the entire body is going this way. If it goes down the tee, your angle's all straight. You're literally parallel to the net. If it goes down the tee and the receiver's here, you're going to be angled off this way here. So that's what I mean by the body work right there. Body faces or is angled toward where the ball is. Or should I say where the opponent's going to be. Inside third, middle third, or outside third. So that's the mechanics for the body work. As far as the racket work, I like to think of a duck in a pond. If you think of a duck, if you see a duck in a pond, you don't see what's going on underneath the water. What's happening is its feet are paddling like crazy. The upper body is very stable. So when you're poaching, think of a duck in a pond. The feet are very active, whether it's the basic footwork of moving diagonally forward or performing the W. With that, the upper body needs to be quiet, and the racket head needs to be quiet per se. Now, what I mean by quiet is you want the racket head very stable. It's a short and compact motion. So where do you get the power from? The force of your body moving will supply enough energy for you to hit a strong volley, a strong put away. Tendency for people is it's more like a duck on crack. I mean, the feet are going crazy, and the racket takes this massive swing. Next thing, they overhit it, hit the back fence. So attack with the feet, meet the collision, use your footwork, upper body stable, racket head stable, short and compact motion. So that's the mechanics of the poach. Are there any questions? Should we fill some questions now, Will?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Well, Lee says, can you quickly review how the toes are oriented? And then I got 2 questions from David, and then in the meantime, if anybody else has questions regarding what we've just covered, please fire them out now.
Okay. So question was the toes. Basically, it's another way for me to say the body faces or is angled toward where the ball is. So let me demonstrate right here. Let's use this court number 1 as example. Serve goes wide. You are moving in with the outside leg going this way, but you want your shoulders, both shoulders, in this direction, facing this way. This way, so your body, instead of being this way, the shoulders, let's say this is your right shoulder, this is your left shoulder. In fact, let me demonstrate this here.
Uh-oh, not the pen. This didn't end well last time.
See that? I learned well. So that's what I mean. If the serve goes right here, okay, that's good with that. So this is what you want here. Your shoulders are going to be facing this way. If the serve's this way, you want your shoulders facing this way. So you can cut the angle off. If it's wide, you want your shoulders facing this way. That answer your question?
I think it does. There's a slight delay for people in chat. So why don't I just move on to
the next question.
The next question, and people can follow up. David had a two-parter. First, going back to what you were talking about earlier regarding poaching and when to poach. Does it make sense to poach if we go back to your concept of wound versus kill in the previous presentation? Would you ever poach to wound, or are you only poaching to kill?
All right, let's define wound and kill. Wounding it's probably going to come back because the weak response. Killing it's not coming back. If you're doing a poach where you're attacking, it's a kill. It's not coming back. Make sense? Right. If you're poaching for sheer desperation, that's what I call a crisis prevention. So generally speaking, I would suggest poach when you're trying to kill. Because if you wound, they're probably going to get it back. Let's save that for the later slides because I'd like to demonstrate that movement-wise. And I think, so save that question because if I haven't answered it after the webinar, I'll be glad to answer it again. So just save it because I think later on maybe answer.
Cool.
And there's one more question.
The second part was just is there a difference in terms of poaching if you're playing a lefty or a righty? Maybe I don't know if you'll address that later as well. If you want to field that now or hold on to it for later.
All right. Once again, I'm talking totally based on the geometry of the court. Righty-lefty is an opponent consideration. This course right now is going to be focusing primarily on the geometry of the court. Now later on you can decide righty-lefty, that's up to you. But I'm going so now whether it's a righty or lefty, if you poach and you kill, it doesn't matter. It's not going to come back. So hope I answered that question.
Yeah. We'll hang on to that and address it later. I think for the more nuanced questions, folks, why don't we get, like Feisal just said, he's going through the core concepts here. So why don't we get through that stuff? And Dan has a question about how do you move to combat a lobbed return. Dan, I've already seen the slide deck, so Feisal is going to address that in a little bit. So why don't we just hang tight on that one? But okay. I think we're good, man. So let's keep it going. Okay. This is great.
All right, where to hit the poach to? On easy shots, hit the ball hard at the net man's feet or body or into the opening. So notice right here, this is an easier ball. It's high, and I'm going to define what's easy and what's tough. So that's a high ball, probably a kill, as you can see. Go toward the net person's feet or their body or into the opening court, which would be the alley. If the return is not one you can potentially put away, then you should hit it deep back to the receiver to be safe. So for example, this poach right here, I'm assuming that this player is taking it because if they let this ball go by, their partner would be in a deeper defensive situation. So this is what I call a deeper crisis prevention poach. So by this partner taking it, at least they have the chance of staying in the point, versus if this partner let it go through, their partner would have been in a deeper defensive situation. So easy shots, hit it toward the net person. If you're poaching to prevent a crisis, hit it back deep to give your team time and to obviously play safe and get it in. So that's where you want to hit your poach to. Right. When or the timing to poach. Right. I'm going to go with general timing and specific timing. Okay, so general timing would be the beginning of a match. I've never played against Adam or Will. I don't know them. As the match goes on, oh my gosh, Will hits a certain type of ball, Adam hits a certain type of ball. You may have to change it to a specific timing. So let's break that down. I'm going to get into both. Right, general timing of the poach. Sometime between the bounce, when your serve bounces, which I call early, or at your opponent's contact point, which is late. So you got it somewhere between the bounce and when your opponent strikes it. So you can go between that range. Or the moment you see the ball on the face of the opponent's racket. That's the general timing. Okay, now I'm going to get specific to how this would vary. Would you go early on the bounce? Would you go closer toward the opponent's contact point? That's going to vary. So that's the general timing right there. Specific timing. The timing of the poach depends on how quick you are, what type of serve your partner is hitting, and the returner's position and the type of return. So this is where these would vary early or late. So when we talk early, we're talking between the bounce and your opponent's contact, which is late. So from the time the ball bounces, that's early, to when the opponent strikes it, that's late. So you got that lag time between the two. So let's now get into specific timing of the poach as far as those three: how quick you are, what type of serve your partner is hitting, and the returner's position and type of hit. Right, specific timing, how quick you are. If you're quick, wait until the last possible second to move, perhaps at the point your opponent is making contact with the ball. This will keep the returner from seeing you move. So if you're quick, make that move. If you're relatively slow or you feel sluggish today, I suggest moving as the ball bounces on your opponent's side of the court. So you see how you got that wiggle room based on your speed, based on how you're feeling that day. So that's what I mean by how quick you are. Second variable, what type of serve your partner is hitting. On spin serves, the ball takes longer to get to your opponent, so you can leave a little later. Later meaning closer to when the opponent strikes the ball. With flat, hard serves, the faster you must go. So that's the risk you take. Hit it hard, you got to move quicker. Ideally, you should talk to your partner to find out what type of serve he or she is going to hit. Based on your conversation, you then have an idea of when you're going to move. So those are your choices right there. All right. Third option is the returner's position and the type of hit. If the returner likes to move in and takes the ball early, you will have to move earlier. If they're playing inside the baseline, they take the ball on the rise, you've got to move earlier. On the other hand, against a baseliner who stands well behind the baseline, you may want to leave later, which is closer to their contact. Because if you move too early and they're behind the baseline, you've obviously opened up that area. They're going to burn you down the line. So those are those options. If the opponent hits hard and flat, leave earlier. So once again, this is how you can be more specific based on the opponent and the opponent's return. All right. If he or she hits with a lot of spin or chips the ball, you've got to leave later. You're going to have to wait. So that's how I broke down general timing to specific timing based on those three variables. All right, faking. Adjust your positioning can push your opponents off their game. Now I chuckle with, I had some people sometime tell me, you know, Feisal, I don't poach, I just fake. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. If you never poach, what good is a fake? So faking is good to throw in if you've thrown a couple of poachers in, legitimate poachers, because it really gets them guessing. So we're going to talk about faking and the different types of fake moves. Faking enables you to accomplish two things. One, you can entice your opponent to hit a particular shot. Two, you can disrupt their rhythm and force a weak return or an error. So that's the advantages of faking. Now what I'd like to get into is the faking options. You've got the lateral fake. I'm going to explain each one. The forward fake, the backward fake, and the crossover fake. I'm going to explain each one. Right, the lateral fake. The goal is to entice your opponent to come down your alley, where after you fake, you may get a volley hit to you. So the timing of this lateral fake, as soon as your partner's serve lands in the court, take a quick step with the foot that's closest to the center. So if I'm serving to the, so Will's serving, okay, Will's my partner, he's serving to the deuce side. As Will's serve lands, I'm going to use my right foot, which is the inside foot close to the center. I'm going to move it towards the middle of the court with my shoulder and then get back in position. So I'm baiting them to think, hey, I'm moving. Notice it's a lateral move. So this way you're balanced when you jump back to get to your original position. So that's when and how you want to do the lateral fake. When to use it? When your partner serves out wide. When you fake, you'll show the receiver a wide open alley, which will more than likely be too easy to resist. So you throw that fake move with the inside leg going toward the center line, and you're coming back, and you'll be ready for the backhand volley if you're right-handed on the deuce side. So that's the lateral fake. The forward fake. Here you're trying to make the receiver think that you're closing in to pick off a volley in the hope that they'll throw up a lob, which you'll then be waiting for. So this person here, you want to bait them to throw up a lob. So as my partner's serve lands, okay, I'm going to move forward. and then as they're about to hit, move back there. So I'm back in the original position. So that's the forward fake. You want to bait them to throw up a lob. That's the forward fake. The back fake, this is effective against a player that's been lobbing his return. How do you do it? You take a quick step backwards to bait them that you're ready for the lob, and then you close in. So that's your move. Okay, so you got the back fake, someone who's been lobbing a lot. Take an early, quick step backwards, first step, and then close in. So hopefully by you making this move, you may have them change their mind about lobbing. So those are the different fake options. The last one, which is crazy. Question?
No, go ahead. I'll bring up my point after you finish this one.
Okay. Last one is the crossover fake towards the alley, to simply distract the receiver in the hope that you'll receive or force a weak return or error. How to do it? You'll take a quick crossover step and then jump back into position. So the lateral fake was going this way. The crossover fake is you're actually going to cross with the inside foot, cross this way to bait them, then you come back in position. So that's the crossover fake. Right. Will, you had a question? Will?
Yeah, sorry, I was a little slow on the unmute button. Yeah, there was a couple questions in the chat just about where should you position yourself to start, where in the service box do you position yourself to start, or when should you cover the lob? I mean, all these like really common questions. Should I cover the alley? Well, I don't want to poach because I've gotten beaten down the alley, and so on. And I just think what you've just described is really powerful information. When you kind of start to learn your opponent's tendencies, you can use these techniques to not only compensate for their tendencies and defeat their tendencies, but also start to mess with them.
Yes, perfect. Thank you. That was a comment, right? Yep.
That was just a comment. I mean, if you have something to add there, by all means do. I just think what you're describing, we had this theme of reactive versus proactive, and everything you're describing right now is proactive net play. And where people get themselves into trouble is when they're reactive. Now, David actually had a comment in chat where he said, I have heard that faking entices the returner to hit the ball at the net player, and stronger net players can do this to draw the ball to them instead of the weaker player. And he was saying, do we agree with this? I personally do. I mean, yes, I use everything you've described to try to play this game where I'm getting the returner to hit the ball basically right to where I'm going to end up being.
Correct. So I like what you said. Well, you know, to me, the faking options come into play once you start seeing opponents' tendencies and patterns, especially if it's in their favor. So you want to kind of rattle them a little bit and start throwing these fake moves. So once you see the tendencies and the patterns. So any other questions, comments?
Let's give it a, why don't, well, I guess it takes a hot second for people to post in chat. So why don't we give people 20 odd seconds or so to post. I mean, this thought came into my mind as you were describing proactive versus reactive. It's almost like you're trying to turn yourself into a tractor beam up at the net, where you just attract your opponent's shots. They're trying to hit at you, they're trying to beat you, but you always end up kind of ending up in front of where they hit it, and then you have an easy kill shot.
Correct. Remember now, this is more like, remember what you said about Wayne Gretzky? He goes to where the puck is going to be going to. That's what we're working on here. So you're making these moves, these fake moves, to bait them to a specific area. So you faking, especially on a wide serve, you're hoping by faking that, you're going to bait them to go down the alley. So that fake, and I'm hoping they're going to go down the alley, that's where the ball is going to go to, and that's how you make that move. Correct. This is all being proactive to rule the net.
Yep.
So.
Yep. Yeah, the worst, I think we're pretty... Yeah, so Richard asked, do you start in the beginning, at the beginning of each point, do you start in the middle of the service box?
Yes, I would suggest geometrically. I don't know these two players. I've never played them before. Based on the laws of geometry, I'm going to start or close. Yes, smack in the middle of the box. As the match goes on, I'll start making my adjustments. Adjustments as well as the different fake moves. Correct.
And yeah, so again, Richard, you know, when you just to expand on what Faisal's saying, when you start to adapt to your opponents, then you can mix it up. I mean, I start in really weird places sometimes, but that's maybe a little bit higher level, where just so the other guy's kind of looking at me, being like, "What is he doing?" Whether I'll line up in the alley or kind of almost go I formation or whatever. It's just trying to mess with the guy's head. But again, Faisal's talking about. Apply this stuff first. That gets a little bit more sophisticated. I mean, Faisal's like I said, covering the fundamental elements of high level poaching here. We got two questions for you, Faisal. The first is, how do you feel about poaching with signals? How would you communicate? What's your sort of just general take doing this, having communicated with your partner, whether you just talk it out prior to the point or you signal versus just freelancing?
Right. Could you save that for later? We've got a couple
Yes,
slides down the road to explain.
Okay, I will save that one for later, so Pat, hang tight. Jim wants to know, how often should you poach during a game or a set? You kind of addressed it earlier with green, yellow, red, but is there a specific ratio? Let's say if somebody just wanted to say, you know, during a game you should poach twice, or during a set you want to poach 7 times, whatever.
I'd say, hey, if your team is comfortable based on the score, try to poach at least 1 point per game. Cool. At least one time. And I mean, I will be going over the different poaching movements too. So I like all these questions. It kind of excites me because further down the road we'll be seeing all these questions. They're going to be answered. So okay.
Cool. We got one more for Don. From Don, will you address returner opponent by? Oh, yes, you will. Actually, the question is, are you going to address like technique or body cues for the opponent on when to move and when not to move? I know you're going to address that. Actually, I just remember the slide. Yes. So Don, we're going to get to that as well. So this is great stuff. Let's keep this train moving. You're like Faisal, you're like Nostradamus. You have all these questions already answered in your presentation. That's great.
Okay, thank you. Ready? All right. Timing of the fake. You all are asking these questions. I love it. They're all going to be answered. All right. The timing of the fake. When faking only, make your move as your partner's serve lands in the court. So I'm just faking only. That's it. I'm baiting them to hit to me. Now, ready for this one? You want to fake followed with a poach, because a lot of times people think you're going to poach and then that's it. So you're going to fake and then you're going to make your move to poach. Begin your fake as your partner's serve moves past you. So I'm this player right here. As my partner's serve goes past me, I make my fake move, whether it be the lateral, the forward, or the backward, as the serve passes me. Then a quick jump and then poach off that return. So that's the timing of the fake. If you're faking only, as your partner's serve lands. If you're faking and you're hoping to follow it with a poach, as your partner's serve moves past you, you make your fake move, then you do a quick jumping or split step, then you make your poach accordingly. So that's the timing of the fake. Now, bear with me on this. I'm leading toward reading. Oh yes, was it Pat or reading the cues on the opponent? Okay.
Yeah, that was Don.
Don, you're the man. The next 4 slides are dedicated toward you. Okay. So you want to be able to read the opponent's comfort zones. Okay. How do we know we're getting sick? We get symptoms: scratchy nose, coughing, whatever the case is, itchy throat, whatever. What you want to be able to
throat in the cough right now.
Yep, exactly. So right now, Will is not in his comfort zone. He's in his discomfort zone. So as far as on the court now, there's 2 comfort zones you want to be able to read. One in relation to the court, one in relation to the player's body. So let's talk about that. In relation to the court, positioning, where the player is located on the court, P. In relation to the body, balance and strike zone. Balance is the player's balance. Strike zone is where the opponent strikes the ball for the shot in relation to their body. So I call it, understanding comfort zones, I call it PBS, peanut butter sandwich. Positioning, balance, strike zone. So you want to be able to read the opponent's PBS. And And when we get into the visual training, which is part of this course here, I will be going in depth with that. So PBS, how to read the cues there. So I'm going to get into each one. The positioning, balance, and strike zone govern all the decisions you're going to make. So your goal is to try to take away as many of these comfort zones from your opponent. If you take away none of them, they're going to be comfortable. I'm going to explain each one. All right. Balance, positioning on the court, strike zone. I'm going to explain each one. Okay, physical balance, dynamic and static, positioning on the court, and the strike zone. PBS, like I said earlier. All right. Positioning. You want to recognize the opponent. That's me, by the way. Right. You want to recognize the opponent's positioning. Are they hitting the ball inside the court? Are they in the alley? Or are they behind the baseline? So an opponent generally would like to be hitting their shots inside the baseline. If you have them in the alley or back, meaning behind the baseline, you've taken away their positioning. So that's your goal, is to break their rhythm. If they're hitting the ball in the alley or back, you've affected their positioning. That's their positioning. Balance. You want to be able to read their balance before they strike the ball. Is it perfect, average, or poor? Your goal, obviously, to disrupt the opponent's balance is to ensure it's either poor or average. So positioning, balance, strike zone. Generally speaking, 3 strike zones. I'm not getting into grips. From the ground to mid-thigh is strike zone 1 or low. Mid-thigh to chest is strike zone 2 or good. Chest above is strike zone 3 or high. So an opponent would like to hit a ball here. If you have them hitting it high or strike zone 3 or low strike zone 1, you've affected their strike zone. So your goal is to affect their positioning, get them in the alley or back, to affect or affect their balance, get it average or poor, and affect their strike zone where you have them hitting from either one of these, high or low, strike zone 1 or 3. So your goal is to take away 3 factors from the opponents. The more factors you take away from the opponent in terms of PBS, the more they're going to be in trouble. So that's going to take some visual training on that. All right. The 4 poaching situations. I'd like to address, typically when we think poaching, we just think serving and sometimes receiving. I'd like to address the 4 poaching situations when you're serving, receiving, lobbing, and overheads. I'm going to explain all 4. Okay. Serving. Two options. Number 1 is the unplanned, spontaneous, freelance poach. This isn't planned. There's no hand signals. There it is, poach. Now, how do you know there it is? You want to read the opponent's PBS, position, balance, and strike zone. So when would it make sense to poach as the service partner? If the opponent has 2 factors against him or her, that's the time to poach. So positioning. Let's say you got the receiver in the alley. Positioning is off. Balance is good, but strike zone is low. So you've taken away her positioning and her strike zone, 2 factors against her. That's poachable material. Now what's nice about this is if I'm the server, once I've served, I'm also scanning the opponent's PBS. So both the service partner and the server can scan, and if we notice there's 2 factors or more against the receiver, we know that's poaching capability. So that's the unplanned poach. So that's when to do it. Now let's talk about the move now. All right. Poach's footwork. We're talking about right there. All right. I've served. Right now, just ignore these lines. These are the movement patterns. I've served. I've taken away 2 factors from the receiver. Both I, the server, and the service partner have read 2 factors are against them. Right. If I'm poaching, basic footwork, 2 factors. I'm going to use the inside foot and shuffle toward the net strap. Advanced footwork, I'm going to start off with a prong. If the serve's wide, I'll make this move. If it's down the tee, I'll make this move. Excuse me, if it's down the middle, I'll do the middle prong. If it goes down the tee, I'll do this move. So that's what we're doing. Service movement. Now a lot of times, this is what happens. The service partner poaches, server's just standing there watching life go by, next thing they're out of position. So how do we synchronize this move? We're talking about the freelance or the unplanned poach. So, two factors against the opponent. My partner poaches. Right. Here's the rule of thumb now. The service movement will depend on the partner's movement, whether they go past the center line or not, and the quality of the return. So, in court number 1, I serve, two factors against the receiver, service partner poaches, and their body momentum takes them past the center line. Notice this arrow is past the center line. Because this player is going past the center line, it's an understood the service partner is going to move over to this side of the court. Now, there's one or two moves. Partner poaches, crosses the center line. It's a strong poach. The server's going to move up. So this person moves here. Server moves up because the poach is strong. Make a poach. My partner crosses the center line. It's a mediocre or weak poach. Server is going to move along the baseline. So past the service line, understood, we switch. Depending on the quality, one of the moves are going to happen. Right. Court 2. Partner poaches. Her momentum does not take her past the center service line. In this situation, her momentum took her past the center line. Understood, my partner switches. Right. I serve. This is Will. He poaches. He does not cross the center line. Understood. I'm going to stay on this side. If the poach is strong, I come in. If the poach is weak, I'll stay on the baseline. So that's the movement for the unplanned poach. We spoke about the when, based on the comfort zones, and we spoke about the how to. Now let's go to the other serving position. The planned poach, or the here I go, I'm going for it. Hand signals is one way to communicate. Let's talk about the communication. Could be verbal and or hand signals. I train players how to do both. So verbally, I'm staying, I'm poaching, I'm faking. You could even make it specific. Hey, Will, I'm going to do a lateral fake. I'm definitely going to go for this. Hand signals, you've got the open palm, you got the fist, or you got a blink. So this right here is a poach. So you can come up with any signals, 1, 2, 3, 1 finger, 2 fingers, 3 fingers, your choice. So what I've noticed with a lot of teams is I normally have them start off with verbal communication. So this way they come together and they talk. A lot of times, if let's say the momentum's in their favor, they want to keep communication going, but they want to make it faster, I suggest using hand signals. So there's two options as far as the planned poach. Okay, you could use hand signals as far as where you want the serve to go to and or what your move is going to be. So that's on the planned poach. All right, when to poach? Well, you've got the geometry of the court. The way we broke down the court into thirds, doing the W based on that, and then poaching plan-wise now, once you see trends, patterns, and tendencies of play. So that's when you'd anticipate in terms of planned poaching. You see favorite shots, tactical anticipation. You noticed on the geometry of the court, every time you serve down the middle, there's a specific shot being hit. You can do that. Anytime you notice you serve wide, they've got a tendency to hit a certain shot, you can make your move. But once again, this is discussed. So in terms of serving and poaching, we spoke about the unplanned poach and the planned poach, two different mindsets. And the same footwork would apply in terms of the movement. If the service partner poaches and crosses the center line, I'll definitely switch. If I do not cross the center line, I'll stay. So that's that. All right. Receiving team, we're now returning serve. When to poach? Will's returning serve, and I will be demonstrate this, and Will hits a strong return that puts the opponent in trouble. Their PBS is off, and the receiver, Will, is in the singles court. If he's off the court and I poach and I don't put it away, we've opened up the other side. So generally I say a strong return, definition of a strong return, is the opponent is in trouble, their PBS is against them, and the receiver is in the singles court. Then you could plan a poach on that. And I'll discuss that. Right, here we go. So you got the receiver, okay? You got the receiver's partner. Now, once the return goes by the service partner, you do that French fry shuffle we spoke about. If you want to do the advanced footwork, you could do the W prong. If not, you just, so General footwork is used to your French fry shuffle, and then you do the W move. So, opponent serves, my partner hits a great shot that affects the opponent's positioning and strike zone. Make the move. So these two diagrams, chord 1 and 2, are assuming the returner has stressed the server. Two factors against it. Once again, receiver poaches, they cross the center line. Understood, my partner's going to move either way. I poach, I cross the center service line, it's a strong poach. My partner's going to land up here, I'm going to be over here. I poach, it's a weak poach. My partner, the receiver, moves along the baseline. Second scenario, opponent serves. I hit a returner serve that stresses the opponent. Define stress. Two factors against PBS. My partner makes the move, poach. My partner's momentum does not take her past the center line. Understood. She's going to stay, depending on the quality of the poach. If it's strong, I'm going to come in. If it's weak, I'm going to stay put. So many times I noticed that people don't pay much attention to the poacher's partner's move. So this person poaches, and this person's got no clue where to go to, and that throws the team in disarray. So rule of thumb, cross the center line, stay, partner switches. Do not cross the center line, you stay put, and you make your move based on the quality of the hit. So that's the receiving team as far as poaching. Lobbing team, when to poach. An opponent lobs over the server's partner's head. The server goes to retrieve the lob and hits a great lob back while in trouble and needs time to recover. So let me just read that again, then I'm going to show it to you on the court. The opponent lobs over the server's partner's head. The server goes to retrieve the lob and hits a great lob while in trouble and needs to recover. Let me illustrate. Okay, this is us. The returner decides to lob. It's a strong lob. I get my butt over here. I'm massively in trouble. How does my partner know? My positioning, balance, and strike zone are off. So this is the lob. Court number 2. Because I'm on defense, my partner goes to the tee. However, I hit this fantastic return back, lob back. However, I'm still wobbling. I've hit this lob back. My partner now is going to anticipate whether to hover or smother. So I hit the strong lob back. They're now going to wait. So the lobber's partner right now, first move, goes to the tee. Notices I've hit this extremely good lob. Will now either move into a smother or a hover position. They will smother if they predict that this player cannot hit a lob back. And that's going to be the next course on the visual training. If they feel they could lob it back, they'll be in a hover position. If they can pick any shot off, go for it. Because I would appreciate if this person poaches. Why? It could be a kill. It gives me time to recover. So the lobber's movement, once again, will depend on the quality of the lobber's partner's poach. So my partner poaches, crosses the center line. It's a strong poach. Because my partner's crossed the center line, I'm going to go diagonally in. My partner poaches, does not cross the center service line. I stay. I've got to read the quality of the shot. So poaches, it's a weak poach. I will stay because my partner did not cross the center line, but I'll stay back on the baseline. So that's the lobbing position. Now, in these illustrations, I just demonstrated the serve and the server and the service partner. It could be during a rally exchange too. It could be a lob over this person. So same thing could apply as the receiving team or the serving team as far as lobbing. So that's situation 3.
And I think this one, if you go back to that previous slide.
This one here?
Yeah, and you look at the third, court number 3.
Yes.
With the hover / smother. That, what you just described there, I hope everybody was taking notes, because that's an advanced tactic that I rarely see people do. And that's one of the key ways I found to really beat lobbers is in that situation. I almost, until I started getting beat, I basically switched to the right-hand side of the court, but then I'll basically run back across and poach. basically run onto my partner's side of the court.
Right there.
Because a lot of times people will throw a ground stroke back or something you can pick off.
Exactly. So if they hit a ground, thanks, Will. So I lob. Will knows I hit a strong shot, but he knows I'm stressed, and they hit a ground stroke. So I'm going to expect Will to move in and smother. Right there. Exactly. Thanks, Will.
Yep. That's a real useful one for all you folks listening. That works really, really well. And I can almost guarantee you, if you've never done that to someone before, you'll get a ground stroke like right on top of the net, and then maybe after a couple times they'll start trying to go cross court, but then you just kind of fake and then stand there and pick it off.
Right. Okay. Next slide. Sound good?
Yep. Go for it.
All right. Last situation out of the 4. We did the serve, we did the return, we did the lobbing. Now we're going to do the overhead team. Let me read it, then I'm going to show you with the courts. Opponent hits a great lob over a net, over a play at the net. So we're both up at net. They've hit this great lob over Will's head. Will's my partner. This player, Will, is in trouble, but hits a great overhead from this position behind the service line. So Will's hitting the scissor kick overhead, totally off balance, cranks it. He's trying to regain his balance. So that's the situation when. Let me demonstrate. All right, let's look at the courts, and then we'll talk about the movement. So X and Y. I'm X, Will is Y. All right. Opponent hits this great lob over Y, who now becomes the overhead player. They're hitting an overhead off balance, in 3/4 court, but they hit this incredible overhead back. All right, so this player now, because of this overhead, is on defense, will go to the tee. Hits this great overhead back. So this is the overhead partner. Overhead is partner who's going to do the poach. Once again, they're going to hover or smother. If it's a strong overhead, it's going to be a missile looking like an arrow. I'm probably going to have this player poach, smother, move in at a diagonal. So overhead player. Movement's going to depend. Overhead player right here. The overhead partner. Once they hit the overhead, you're either going to hover or smother, depending on the quality of the overhead. You know the overhead's strong. Question now is, are they going to lob it back? If you predict they're going to lob it back, you rather hover. If you predict there's no way they're going to be able to lob it, you're going to move in and smother. So Will hits this great overhead. It's traveling like an arrow. There's no way this player can lob. I'm going to move in, smother, and poach. So I poach. I do not cross the center line. I'm hitting it right there by the M. Will stay put. Okay. He'll have time to regain since I'm poaching. If the poach is strong, he'll come in. If the poach is weak, he'll stay back. Scenario 2. Will hits the overhead. I smother. I poach. I cross the center line. Will's definitely going to switch. Question now, Will's got to see is the quality of my volley poach. If my poach is strong, he will come, he'll switch and he'll come in. I cross the center line. It's a weak poach. He'll go along the baseline. So those are the movements right there. So the key thing is for the person at the back is, number 1, do I stay or do I switch? That depends on the center line. If I cross the center line, definitely going to switch. If I do not cross the center line and poach, they're going to stay. That's the first thing. Second one is the quality of the poach. If the poach is strong, you're going to be moving in. If it's weak, you're going to be back. So I poach, cross the center line. Understood. They're going to switch. It's a strong poach. They're going to come diagonally forward. I poach, cross the center line. It's a weak poach. This player moves over here. Because it's weak, this player is going to go across the baseline. So that's your Art of Poaching, How to Rule the Net seminar. I'd like to field some questions now.
Awesome, man. That was great, great stuff, and probably good to there you go, reset, because I'm sure people will have questions about the slides.
Yep.
Lizzie was asking just real quick if you could, now that you've mastered the drawing tool, can you quickly go over the French fry shuffle? Just recap that real fast. And in that time, we'll allow other people to ask some questions, get their questions posted.
Right, French fry shuffle. All right. Server serves. All right. Once the partner's shot, we're now addressing the French fry shuffle for this person. Once the return goes past the net person, wow, this is a nice spin shot there. Once the ball goes by the net
It's the
person,
snake charmer.
this player is going to go in French fry shuffle. 1, 2. God, my lines are straight. Excuse me on that one. French fries, I spoke about those throw down plastic lines we have as teaching aids. The kids call them French fries. So once the ball goes by the net person, this player uses the outside foot. Let's assume this is the foot. They'll do 2 steps forward. Boom, boom. So they'll then be in this position, correct? Once the ball goes by them. Now, once this play hits it by back here, they'll then French fry shuffle back. So that's the move right there. Hope that explained it. Let me clean it up and we'll take a look. So, serve, ball goes by the net person, this player. This person moves diagonally in. I went too much over there. Once it goes by them, we'll go diagonally back. That's the French fry shuffle. That help?
Very good. Very good.
What, very good drawing or what? Which one?
There's like tennis, Faisal, and life. There's always room for improvement.
Thank you. Go ahead. Next question.
I'm still waiting on him. Actually, you did an incredibly good job. Apparently, remember earlier when there was a succession of questions and you just said, "Hang on, I got this." You apparently answered them all. Because at the moment, at least, people are slow to ask follow-ups. Let me. I was taking notes the whole time, so let me just go back and see if there's some. Well, there was a question. Oh, here we go. Okay, here we go. Okay, so wow. Now suddenly there's like 4 or 5 people posting. Okay, so Pat says, I don't understand why SP moving to the outside off of an out wide serve is a poach. I think so. Yeah, and I think Faisal, correct me if I'm wrong. There's a difference between your initial positioning and then whether you actually move to poach.
Thank you. Good point. What you're doing with this W is you're not right. Serve goes wide. How do we know? You got the receiver here. You're just making this move. If it is a W, right? You're just making this move in case you've got a poachable shot. You're just positioning yourself in the angle of possible return. In fact, I think I got it further down here. There you go. See that? So, serve goes wide. You're just positioning yourself here just in case to cover this shot and this shot. This move is not saying you're poaching. This is just a move to get you in position. So many times at the club level, when people poach, they actually just move when it's time to go for the ball. This is an actual move before the opponent hits to get you to cover the alley if they go down the alley, or if they hit a poachable shot that's also reachable, to actually bisect it. So you're just making this move to be ready for either the down the line shot or a cross court poach. That's all. You see, a lot of times the server's partner says, you know, partner, I wish I could help you. I'm not really doing much up at net to help you there. So just by making this move, you're putting yourself in a position to poach if the opportunity is there, but you're also covering the down the line shot if the serve goes wide.
Yes,
that explains it.
It does, and I'd like to expand on it. The middle, your initial starting point, where SP is right now, is simply that. That position does not put you in the right position to poach on all of your partner serves. If your partner serves wide, you need to adjust your positioning. If your partner serves T, you need to adjust your positioning.
Right there.
Because you need to put yourself in the middle of the triangle, right? And the triangle depends on where the returner is making contact.
Correct.
And then from there you can decide whether to poach or not. Now the one thing I want to, which is so powerful with what Faisal has just shared, is a lot of people when I talk to recreational players and They say, you know, Will, I really want to poach, but I just don't know where my partner is going to serve the ball. And my partner can't even serve the ball. I can't even control where they hit it. Or I've never played with this person before, and I don't know what their serve tendencies are. What Feisal has just shared with you eliminates your need to know anything about how your partner serves. You simply react to the returner, adjust yourself, and then you can go and freelance from there. So this completely frees you up to do whatever you want at net, regardless of who your partner is.
Thank you. So this way, there's no. Thank you. Well, can I just interject there too? This way, there's no pressure for the server. Server, you serve where you want to. Doesn't matter. Depending on where the returner is, you can make your move accordingly. So this way, there's no pressure for the server as far as where they got to serve. So this helps you, like Will said, to play against a partner you've never played with before. There's no pressure. Hey, give me a wide serve. Give me a body serve. Give me a T serve. They're positioning themselves based on what this person can realistically hit and where this person realistically is. Yes.
And honestly, like, you know, I don't know if you would agree with this, Faisal, but I think there's something to be said for almost not knowing what your partner is going to do when they serve, because you just kind of train yourself to look for the cues on your own and anticipate on your own.
Right.
And then you actually, in my view, kind of become it's almost you're better at poaching versus, you know, if you're maybe this analogy will work. If you're a lot of people can get up, and if they have a script in front of them, they can go and they can do okay as a public speaker, right? Well, I've got my script, I can read the script, and we planned it ahead of time, and I can just read off of that, and I'm going to do okay up there. But the really good public speakers are the ones that can go up with no script, maybe just a couple bullet points to kind of guide them, and then they can speak for an hour with no notes. And that's kind of those are the really good public speakers. And that's kind of what I feel like this is like, where what Faisal's described is you have a couple bullet points, a couple cues to look for, and you just sort of do your thing, versus having everything completely scripted ahead of time. Because often, you know, what happens if your partner misses their first serve? What happens if they were supposed to go T, but they go wide? How often does that happen? It's all the time. So it's kind of freeing for you in a way when you apply what Faisal has said. Then you can kind of just get up on stage and wing it, and you're going to step off the stage. People are going to say, "Wow, that was a really good speech. You must have worked really hard on that thing." And you're like, "Not really. I just sort of, you know, just wung it."
Thank you. That was a good analogy there, Will.
Thanks. Hopefully it worked. Hopefully that makes sense. Let's go to Faisal. Are you good on that? I mean, I can.
Yes.
All right, cool. Let's go to Tim in that case. Tim says, "I know what you're saying, but at my club, the original lobber follows it in." Okay, so the situation you were describing earlier, where
the lobbing team.
Yeah, the lobbing team, after they hit that initial lob, will crash the boards.
Right.
So what would you recommend in that situation, or is that something you will cover in a subsequent presentation?
Well, both. I'm going to cover it now and later. So.
All right, cool.
What you're saying is you've hit this strong lob. This is you now, right?
No. So you were still S. You serve.
Right.
That dude hits the lob, and then the
and he's
dude
going to come in.
Comes in, yeah.
He's going to come in, right. Now, all the more reason, because, so right now, they've come in, correct?
Yep.
Right? Now, this person hits a lob back. Well, if this person comes in and two factors are against them, this is where this player here has to read the quality of the player's hit. If there's no factors against them, you're dead. It's a kill shot. Remember we prefaced, partner hits a strong shot, a strong lob, correct? So even if this player comes in, strong lob, they're stressed, correct? Definitely the time to poach. So whether this person comes in or stays back, in this situation I demonstrated them staying back, but let's say they came in. If they hit a strong shot back, so let's say this partner lobbed it back, his positioning was off, his balance was off, get ready for the poach. In fact, once they're up, it's going to be tough to lob. Would you agree with that? It's tough for them to lob, a lob volley. So I'm going to have this player actually smother to intercept that volley. So to me, it shouldn't matter when they come in or stay back.
And I guess if server's partner is getting lobbed consistently, that would be a situation where the service partner needs to start backing up and adjusting for that.
Well, first things first, like I said before, yes, that's option 2. Option 1 is ask the server to change the placement of their serve to hopefully neutralize or take with a lob. Well, hey, no matter what I'm serving, they're still lobbing. Well, adjust your positioning. Change your positioning, yes. And that'll eliminate having to put this partner here getting stressed and having to hit a strong lob back. So that's another option, yes.
Cool. And I believe you alluded to the fact of non-traditional formations where you might even have certain partners start back.
Thank you. Yes.
I'm assuming we'll address that later. So why don't we? All right. Cool. So Vlad says, I'm often crossing too soon. Is there a specific drill or something I can do to improve my timing of the poach?
Yep. Let me go to the situation there. All right. It's Vlad, right?
Vlad.
Vlad. Okay. All right. Question for you. These three questions right here. If you're going too soon, is the issue you're probably too quick? What type of serve? Are you addressing these three issues? So if you're moving too soon, you're probably moving somewhere close to the bounce. So Vlad, I want you to think about, is the issue how quick you are? Okay, you're obviously fast. Are you considering the type of serve your partner is hitting? If it's spin serve, you leave a little later. If it's a fast serve, you leave a little earlier. Or the returner's position. Are they taking the ball early? Or are they hitting it late or hitting it behind the baseline? If someone slices or chips a lot, they typically let the ball drop. It's later. You're going to move later. So I'd actually have you consider those three variables in your timing of the poach.
Cool. If the poacher, Andrew asks, if the poacher is not able to put the ball away, let me see. If the poacher is not able to put away, reasons why hit you back to receiver rather than, I'm assuming, and this is what Andrew's asking, if I poach and I'm not very good at putting the ball away, is there a reason to hit it back to the deep person?
All right. First things first. If you're poaching and it's not a strong poach, the first question I'm going to ask you is, was it reachable and not poachable? Remember, you poach for one or two reasons. To put the ball away, or you're poaching to prevent your partner getting into a deeper defensive situation. So if you're poaching and you can't kill it, why go for it? Unless your partner's in trouble. So I question the aspect of reachable versus poachable. Once again, people will just poach if it's reachable. Next thing, oh, sorry, I couldn't put it away. Well, then why did you poach? Well, it was reachable. It wasn't poachable. So that's a question I'm going to ask you to actually deep down. Okay, think deep down. Is it reachable versus poachable? That's the first thing we came up with.
Cool. Tim just has a comment. Great presentation. Very nice detail and organized. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Feisal, this is from Lee. Could you talk a little bit about where the poacher should direct their poaches in different scenarios? And I think you talked a little bit about that, but just a couple, what are your targets?
Right there. Okay. On easy shots, hit the ball hard at the net man's feet. Okay. Well, you've tattooed this now. Feet meaning right foot, left foot. Body meaning the hips. Right hip or left hip. Or into the opening. When I say the opening is, I'm saying going more toward the alley of where the net person is. So those are the options.
Cool. Don asks, and Lee, I would follow up, don't worry about hitting somebody. That just happens.
Well, this is the way I look at it. If someone's getting hit, okay, they're in the wrong position. Well, if you back behind me on defense and I'm standing in the service partner's position and you're in trouble, what are you going to hit back? A strong shot, a weak shot, a weak shot. So a lot of times when people get hit, I actually blame them for lack of court awareness of where they should be.
Yeah.
No, aim for the feet. Aim for the feet, not the head now. Aim for the feet. So that's why.
Don asks, I play against returners who seem to be able to go cross court or down the alley when the serve goes wide, so I end up stuck or getting passed. Any other clues? So basically, Yeah, so on wide serves, opponents can go line or they can go cross court. And so Don's kind of having a tough time handling those situations.
Yeah, let me just go to the diagram there.
As you scroll, Lizzie says, great presentation. Glad you liked it, Lizzie.
Okay. All right, wide serve, correct?
Wide
So
serve, yep. Mm-hmm.
Right, so right there. So I'm your partner. You're up at net, wide serve. These are the possible shots they can hit. Correct? So this player here can do both extremes. Look at the tendencies and patterns. Okay? Another option is don't serve there. If he's very successful there, don't serve there. Change the placement. If he keeps going cross court, do the I formation. Take that shot away. So bottom line, this is the receiver's possible angles. If he can do both, he's a good player. If they're winning more points on this serve over here, on the outside third, serve into the body or serve to the tee. If you still want to keep doing this, change the doubles formation, I formation, the whole 9 yards. So you can change it. So change the placement again to neutralize this, or change the positioning. So I hope that helped.
Yeah, and Don, I would, if my general rule of thumb is if, excuse me, if a returner is really dialed into returns, fake more, move more, guess on you know on where they're going to return it. Anything to disrupt their rhythm is important and will work. So you know, I would maybe in that situation just pick ahead of time, like I'm going to either, you know, I'm going to dance around but end up in this particular spot. I'm going to show one look and end up in a different place. And you know, then you might end up getting some balls hit right at you, which is exactly what you want.
Right. Or another option, hey, partner, receiver keeps going down the alley or cross court. Let's just do this. For this next serve, go wide. I'm going to go ahead and poach to cover the cross court shot. I want you, as soon as the ball lands, to make the move and move over here to cover the down the line shot. So now you're creating some movement along with the faking that Will said to cover the to cover the receiver's two angle shots. But now you're creating additional movement now. Hopefully cause a distraction.
Yep. People want copies of your slides, Faisal. I'm sure we can get that done.
Yeah.
Greg says, when faking, will you still have time for the advanced footwork pattern, or you just revert to an ad lib footwork pattern?
I'd answer both, depending on how athletic you are and how comfortable you are. I mean, I've tried throwing the fake with the W move. It's kind of depending how fast the serve is now. So I'd just go ad lib or I'd just do the W. I mean, I just experiment with both and see which one works.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of start doing zigzags where I'll kind of hop forward diagonally one way, then go diagonally the other way, or sometimes I'll throw in a double fake where, you know, I'll fake like I'm poaching, then I'll reset to the middle almost towards the alley, and then I'll go. So, you know, don't think that you can just throw in one fake. You can throw in two.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and if you're a little bit slower, just start earlier. And that stuff's real effective. And I think the earlier question about, you know, this guy's beating me down the alley and cross court, start throwing in some double fakes. Let's see. Oh yeah, Pat sort of seconded Don's question about what do you do when the opponent can go cross court or line. I think we kind of answered that. Just, you know, more faking, mix it up, give the person different looks. If anybody saw Monday Night Football last night, the Broncos versus the Bengals. Bengals won relatively convincingly. They were giving Peyton Manning all sorts of different looks on defense, and Manning threw either 3 or 4 interceptions, a lot of picks, but just was really confused because the initial defensive look from the Bengals defense often wasn't what they were actually playing. I remember specifically because the crew, Mike Tirico and John Gruden, Adam Pac-Man Jones picked Manning off. He showed blitz Manning pointed at him at the line of scrimmage and said, you know, number 24 or whatever the number is gonna blitz, and then Pac-Man Jones dropped into coverage and jumped a route and intercepted Peyton Manning's pass. So that, show one thing and then do something else. That is very effective. All right, so Greg just makes Greg just generally said, shouldn't the lob go back cross court? I'm not entirely sure, Greg, what situation you're referring to. Maybe the situation earlier where I serve, returner lobs over, Feisal, if you're my partner, over your head, should my lob go back cross court in that case?
Yep. But once again, it depends on your tendencies and what you're comfortable doing. Right here. So, looking at the overhead, hold on. Wait, hold on. You're talking about the lob. Sorry, my mistake.
Yeah, that one, that slide right there. Yeah. So number one, lob over the head. Court number one, lob over the head. Let's say I'm the server. Do I go cross court with my lob, or do I go back down the line?
Now, you're on defense, so even if the lob is cross court, I mean, in this scenario, I showed it down the line. On defense, definitely go cross court for more lob, but I'm stressing that the quality of the lob, the opponent's lob over service part of anyone's head. Server goes to retrieve the lob and hits a great lob. I'm stressing great, whether it's cross court or down the line. But I'm in trouble, so my PBS is off. I need time to get in position. That's where if my partner can pick it off and poach, we can convert that. So great lob could be, in this illustration, it was down the line. It could be a cross-court shot. Now what's great again? You affect the opponent's PBS. Correct. So either way, cross-court or down the line, think of making that move. Yes.
All right, so Lee says fantastic presentation. Also, a question that Lee asked and gets seconded by Lana about poaching during tiebreakers, and specifically super tiebreakers. Should you become more aggressive, less aggressive? What would you recommend in sort of crunch time?
All right. One thing unique about tennis is this is one of the few sports where after the first set, you go back to 0. Okay, second set, we're back on even playing field. So first question I'm going to say is, did you win the second set or did you lose the second set? Because a lot of times the third set is really a mindset. The super tiebreakers are really a mindset. And I literally have, people thinking, okay, this is more mental. Literally take 1 point at a time. And do understand momentum shifts are going to occur. So remember the red light, yellow light, green light point? It's 1-1 in the super tiebreaker, yellow light point. 2-1, you're ahead, but how does it feel? 3-0, green light point. It's a mini green light. Do you want to take some risks? So I would suggest you and your partner assessing, literally taking 1 point at a time and assessing and giving value to what color point this is worth. We're up 5-0, red light point. Do you want to take some risk? We're up 5-0, keep doing what we're doing is one option. 5-0, why not add more pressure? So I would say discuss it with your partner and see how much risk you want to take. Because it's totally different now. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say to your, because, if you were down 8-3, and we'll say it's a super breaker, wouldn't that be a red light earlier, but you're 2 points away from losing, maybe it's time to change it up. Because you kind of have to rock the boat at this point, or the ship's going to sink.
Right, but my question for you is, why did we wait till 8-3 down? Why not at 5-3 when we felt the momentum shift, or at 6-3? Try something different.
Sure.
Because the brighter the red, 9-2 is deep, deep red, blood red. Why didn't we make any adjustments before? That would be my comment there.
John has a question about poaching out of the I formation, and I don't know what.
That's a whole new graphic. Could we save that for another presentation?
Yep.
That's totally different movement, positioning, all that.
All right, we're gonna put that one in the back burner. It's in our back pocket. Preston asked a question. Preston, can you just clarify? Says, how do you react to a drop shot can you give us a little bit more context? Just paint us a picture of the scenario so we can answer that a little bit more clearly. Okay, so Tim says, all right, so how does the pinch play work into this? And Feisal, pinch is, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Bob and Mike's terminology on pinching, where you're not really doing a full poach, but you're kind of just sliding, kind of squeezing the middle a little bit.
Okay.
So he says, how does the pinch play work in all this? Do you use the pinch based on trends? Or do you routinely display the pinch as a way to bait the opponent into trying to hit lower percentage shots and improving the odds of making the poach? And my read is, Tim, yeah, that's sort of, you described it, pretty perfectly. Faisal, I don't know if you'd have a different perspective on that.
I agree with you on that one. Once again, do you want to be more proactive and bait them to go for that opening? Option 1, geometrically. Option 2, once you notice trends and patterns, you may want to adjust. So either one is good. But once again, there's nothing right or wrong in tennis. There's consequences. Try something. There's pros and cons to everything, but you're not going to know if you do the same old thing. What's the meaning of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again. So mix it up, whether it be geometric or trends and patterns. So I agree with that, yes.
Cool. Well, I'm going to give, that was the last one. I'm going to give Preston the opportunity to follow up on his drop shot question. Preston, if you are listening to this, otherwise we can table that question until next week. But we're gonna wrap here in the next couple minutes because we've been on for about an hour and a half now. I mean, this was great stuff, man. So, and just to let everybody know, we're gonna I will give you plenty of lead time, but we don't have a date yet for the next training, just because the holidays obviously make everybody's schedule a little bit up in the air. But we'll give you plenty of lead time, and follow up tomorrow with the recording of this presentation. So with that in mind, I think now's a good time to wrap it up. Faisal, do you have any parting shots?
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for the opportunity. Will, Adam, thanks, everybody. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Well, great, Faisal. Thanks, man. Have happy holidays.
You too, everybody.
And same to everybody on the line. Happy holidays. Hope you're with friends and family. Yeah, just hope everything is awesome on your end, and hope your doubles game is improved now that you've been through this presentation. And we will catch you guys on the next live training.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, folks.
Thank you.